I'm going to walk you through a 7-step formula that I've used to become a micro celebrity in multiple different niches, which has resulted in me attracting perfect fit clients for free. And I'm going to show you how you could do it too. Now, a micro celebrity to me means that you get a lot of attention in a small audience. So I personally have never had a large following or audience. I've maybe consistently had between 5,000 and 8,000 people across my social media platforms and email list and everything combined. And it's allowed me to have multiple 6-figure businesses, to be able to serve thousands of people. And so it's not about trying to chase vanity metrics or becoming Insta famous or chasing attention for the sake of attention. It's about getting the right attention with the right people. This is what allows you to build a strong community, a tribe of people that want to buy your stuff and that you could serve with your passions. You see, there was a concept invented by a guy named Kevin Kelly years ago. And it was around this idea that musicians and artists at the time, that if they had 1,000 true fans, that they would be able to make a living out of their art, out of their music. And so if you look at what most of us are doing, whether you're a coach, a consultant, some type of creator, you're likely selling things that are much more, quote unquote, higher perceived value to the marketplace than the artist did back when this article came out. So the chances of you even needing 1,000 true fans is probably giving it a lot. You could probably do, I want you to imagine right now, if you had 1,000 people that were in your coaching business or that you were serving in your community, could you handle that right now? Maybe you can, but for a lot of people, even 500 or 100 or 50, you would be solid. You would have a really awesome business. You would be living your passions. You would be making great money, helping people. And so you want to look at how can you become a micro celebrity? How can you become in demand, the go-to authority, if you will, the recognized expert to a small group of people, really carving your own lane in your sub niche. And that's what I've done in multiple niches. And I'm going to walk you through this process now. And so for context, this all came about. I recently got casted back on American Ninja Warrior. I'll be competing on season 18. Let's freaking go. Look out for the Ocean Ninja. And one of my clients was asking me about this whole process. Now, obviously, this is going to help my personal brand. And so I was on the show in 2019 as well. And I was in online fitness back then. And it significantly helped my personal brand for obvious reasons. Now, outside of this, when I was in fitness, I got casted onto a television, not casted, but I got onto a local television show called the All Health Network. And I did a series of TV shows with them. I've been interviewed by the news. I've spoken at events. I've done over 1,200 live videos at this point and workshops and masterclasses. And when you could show up in a way where people perceive you as not necessarily higher or anything like that, but when they perceive that you're doing things or that you're the expert because there's cameras on you, there's attention around you, more people want to come in. And it's very strategic when you put on your smart business owner hat and you kind of throw away the vanity metrics and trying to chase ego and trying to chase likes and stuff like that. You put on the smart business owner hat. Anybody can do this strategically, whether you get on certain podcasts. Again, I'm going to walk you through this whole process because there's multiple steps to this. There's, in fact, seven steps to this to show you how you could do this too. Now, the first thing, this is number one, and this is the most important. So if you don't get the number one right, the rest, it's not going to matter as much. And the first one is nailing your core message. This is what makes you a magnetic identity. This is what makes you stand out amongst all of the other competitors. And it truly is the foundation of what helps you become that micro celebrity, that helps you become that recognized go-to. And so there's two different there's two different components of a really powerful core message that I want to give to you right now. And I'm going to start by giving you two quotes. And these are by some famous marketers. So the first quote is, if you can articulate the problem and pain of your ideal client so well, or even better than they can, they're going to assume that you already have the solution to the problem. It's pretty obvious, right? It's like if, I'm just getting over some cold or whatever, and I call the doctor and I'm giving him my symptoms, and if he can explain back to me better than I can, he's like, I'm going to obviously trust him more. And so the more you can articulate the problems, the pains, the desires, the symptoms that people are going through, they're going to automatically assume that you know the solution. Because how would you know? And then the second big thing here is if you enter the conversation in the customer's mind. I think this was possibly said by a marketer named Dan Kennedy, to where a lot of us as coaches, as experts, as creators, we want to, like, we're usually far removed from the problem. We're usually steps ahead of our ideal client. We should be, right? Because we're teaching it. And because of that, we start to coach people, or we give information to people with what's in our head, hoping that it will help shortcut their time to getting a result. But the problem is they don't yet know that stuff. They haven't had the same epiphanies or ahas, or they haven't figured that out. So we have to sometimes step it back a notch and make sure that we're communicating our message to them in a way that resonates with them where they're currently at. Does that make sense? So it's so important to be able to nail this stuff down. And then the big thing about this is once you've nailed these things and you know how to show up and communicate, you want to stand yourself apart. And the way you do this is having some kind of unique idea, some big idea, unique solution that you can bring to the marketplace. And so for me, in my fitness business, I used to help people with stubborn belly fat. So I would speak to that. And I had what was called the stubborn fat solution. It was my unique way of helping people with working out, with nutrition, with mindset. And I just gave them my perspectives on it. And I just named it. It was my big idea that I brought into the marketplace. This day and age, I talk a lot about having a magic message. I have a unique framework around it, right? Around having a content ecosystem, about running conversion content campaigns. We have this whole methodology around how to help people convert their message better through content and anything they do, right? And so when you could do that, you start to separate yourself from everybody else. So that's the first main thing. I'm spending more time on this one because if you don't nail this one, none of it matters. The second thing is you want to be able to show up consistently and publicly and consistently so you get the visibility. And so the short end is you're going to want to have multiple different ways you do this. You'll typically want to have two main platforms. You want to have more of a top of funnel connection type platform. This would be something like Facebook or Instagram for most people. This is where you could do short form content. You could post stories. You can really connect with new leads and you could start to build trust. And then I like to have a relationship building platform. I love email for this because you get to control the algorithm and you don't have to rely on Facebook or Instagram to dish out your content. You could build your own email list and you're more reliant, or it's more reliant on you coming up with really good open subject lines and things like that. And then having like a really good long form platform is key. Because something that Google recently did, they did a study and they call it 7-11-4 is like the framework that they've come up with, showing that like on average, a consumer needs to consume 7 hours of content, 11 different touch points on 4 different mediums before they're going to become a buyer. And Facebook has echoed this in similar ways. And so it's like most people are spending so much time showing up, but the problem is like they're only posting short form content. And very, very seldom are they doing long form content. And if they do long form content, nobody's really watching it. And so the key is to get people on long form content. This is why I like YouTube or podcasts, because it's really good to be able to provide a longer form video that can actually help people, that can build more trust, that can solve more problems for people, that can give people micro wins. And this is what starts to get you as this perceived expert, because you're helping people outside of just a short form reel. You got like in-depth content for them. Another way you could do this is through a masterclass or workshop. I used to show up every single week and do these. Then I started doing bi-weekly, and now I peeled it back to monthly. I usually do a workshop or a masterclass where I'm just pouring into my audience, just giving that. And one of the things that you do to make sure that you get some predictability around this is that you want to use what we call conversion content campaigns. These are just strategic posts that have great hooks and great call to actions where you're driving traffic to consume your long form content so you get more people to see it. And over time, this stuff will compound, and this will get you way more visibility to your audience, and that's going to help things start to stack for you. The third part of this formula is you want to be able to build a tribe, not just an audience. Going back to the whole Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans, you want to build that tribe of buyers, people that you could actually form a community around, you can serve, and they're going to buy anything that you put out. And so a few things that I wrote down here that have helped me with this is the first major thing when I was back in online fitness that really helped me was, by the way, I came from owning a gym. And so like having a tribe was just what we did. That's one of the main ways you keep people at your gym is you form a freaking community. And so I kind of had that mentality. And when I started doing live videos, when I went into online fitness every single day, basically during those times, and I would show up and I would engage with people. I would give to people that were watching my videos. I would hop on the free calls with them and just help them out. And what ended up happening is I built super fans, is at least the term I call it, super fans. People would share all of my stuff. So there's one of two things that would happen. They would buy from me, or they wouldn't buy from me, but they would just share all of my stuff because I just poured into them. So how are you showing up in your free stuff, whether it's your YouTube, your Facebook, and Instagram, and just pouring into people? This starts to build that tribe, okay? The second major thing that helped me is running small events, like doing workshops or master classes to where I could just pour in and give to people. That helps significantly, both with conversions. That helps with conversions if you do it correctly, but it also builds a lot of goodwill in your audience. And the third major thing was coming up with like in-group language. So any tribe has their own lingo. And so in my tribe now, we talk about becoming in demand, right? It's a lingo. We talk about magic messaging. It's a lingo for us. We talk about conversion content campaigns. So having your own lingo is absolutely key to be able to start to build that tribe up, because it starts to form an identity. It starts to form a world around what you're doing. And so the fourth major thing was leveraging storytelling and relatability. Story is absolutely key. In fact, back in 2019, when I competed on American Ninja Warrior, I remember asking the producer at the time, I was like, dude, because for context, if you don't know, to get casted on the show, you have to submit a 3-minute video demonstrating your story, your energy, your skill sets, things like that. I remember asking him, I'm like, man, how do I have my best shot of getting on the show? And one of the things he said is your story. And the most ordinary stories are the most extraordinary because they relate with people. They resonate with people the most. Versus if you try to tell these extraordinary stories, sometimes it doesn't relate to people. People can't relate to it, rather. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't resonate as much. And so don't think you need to have like a freaking crazy story. Just how you show up and share maybe your origin story. Like, why do you have the brand that you have, the offer that you have? Share that, right? Maybe you have a client story or case studies that you have. Share those stories. Don't just talk about how-tos or tips. I mean, my friend, information is a commodity. I mean, people can go into freaking Google and type in how do I lose 10 pounds or how do I get leads for my business? And it's like Gemini is going to pop up and give them answers, or they can go into ChatGPT or wherever. It's like gone are the days where we could just post information. We want to tell stories. It could be everyday stories, right? I was just at my son just turned 6 and we went out on the boat to an island with some of his friends and stuff like that. When we got to the island, there was this dude that tried to anchor near us. We didn't know who he was. It was this guy with his young daughters. And he misjudged the water, how deep it was. And he jumped in with his anchor thinking it was shallow. And the dude started to sink and he started to yell for help. He wouldn't let go of his anchor because he didn't want to sink his boat. Or I don't know. But he didn't let go. He was just like, help, help, help. So I had to swim. So I basically told this whole story. I had to swim and save this dude. And I had to carry the anchor. And I was talk about some ocean ninja warrior training right there, because my ninja name right now is the Ocean Ninja. And I just told this story and it connects with people. People and I could always tie a business lesson into it if I wanted to, right? So how can you tell stories that relate to people and that they bring people in, right? They really tap into the emotions. And when you could do these right, you can also make these a bridge from where people currently are, where they're struggling. And you could tell that epiphany story to help them get hope or help them get the insights they need or the ahas they need to step into your program, step into your world, so that way they can get the transformation. So that's a huge one. Number 5, the 5th part of this formula, is getting seen in front of other people's audiences. Or the phrase I like is, are you down with the OPP? Other people's platforms. How can you get in front of other people's audiences on other people's platforms? Period. It helps you get more eyeballs. And so back in my gym days, I used to go into local businesses and I would do speaking events at like local businesses and chamber of commerces and things like that. Online, I started going into getting way more podcasts. And while I was never on like a really massive podcast in my niche, I was just on other podcasts of other creators. And sometimes they were decent. I've been on some podcasts that get lots of downloads. But it doesn't even matter. You start wherever you are and you start getting on other people's podcasts that are in your industry, because even if you don't directly get clients from it, you still you're being interviewed as an expert in what you do. You're able to share your story, share your stuff, and that starts to position you as more of a micro celebrity, as more of an expert. You can get onto local television shows. It's not hard. Now, these days you could pay for media. You could just pay a company, and I call that fake media. Like if you're showing up doing fake media or getting AI to do some fake stuff for you, people are going to smell through it and you're not going to feel right about it. You're not going to feel an integrity. And so it's not that hard to get onto local television shows. It's not that hard to get booked on the podcast. I mean, dude, people are looking for content everywhere. They're looking for content. So just simply reaching out. I mean, you can use AI to be like, what podcasts are in my industry? What local television shows. You can go to local businesses even and just hire a videographer to come film you. All of this stuff helps increase the perception of your brand. And so get in front of other people's audiences in any way that you can. It's going to massively help you. And the 6th part of this is monetize your authority. So monetize this authority that's coming in. One of the things that people do wrong, I should say, with this is they're not strategic with it. They don't actually leverage it. And therefore they maybe get seen. And this is where you see a ton of influencers. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, but they struggle to convert because they don't know how to monetize their authority. They don't know how to influence people. And so offer something compelling to people, something aligned with your identity, and make it really easy for somebody to take a next step for you. And ultimately, when you start to do this, you'll become known as the guy or the girl or whatever, right? You become known as the person. And so a lot of times people will refer people to me now and they're like, dude, you got to go see Jason. He's the guy to go to help coaches and creators with their messaging and their content. People, they know me for that right now. Now, do I do other stuff? Yeah, I can help people with other stuff too, but I become known for that because it's just what I talk about on a lot of these different platforms. And so once you become known as this kind of person within your niche, your sub niche, you know you're on the right track with this stuff. And then 7, and I actually have one more bonus for you that I just thought about as I was talking through that last point. But you want to play the long game. Becoming a micro celebrity or whatever you want to call it, a recognized expert within your sub niche, it does take time. You got to show up and follow this formula and continually execute upon it, and it will compound over time. It might not happen in 30 days. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. But if you stay consistent with this and do it over and over and over and over again and just show up, get better at your message, get better at showing up publicly, put out more long form content, right? Really focusing on building a tribe, not just an audience, right? Starting to leverage more storytelling and really getting people hooked in, bought into what you're doing, getting seen on other people's platforms, starting to focus on how you monetize this stuff, right? You're going to start to let this compound. And then the last thing here, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, I want to pull on this lever a little bit more. It's truly figuring out how do you put on your smart business owner hat and leverage this. I try to squeeze the juice out of every podcast that I go on, out of every long form content video I do. We're promoting it. We're getting people to come to it. When I host a workshop, I'm driving as much traffic as I can. When the workshop's done, I'm still trying to get people to see it. It's so many people create awesome assets and they do awesome things, but then they let it die just as fast as they did it. It's on Facebook or Instagram, you can have a post in there and it's literally it's dead in a couple weeks. Not even in a couple days now, to be honest. Versus like, this is why I love platforms like YouTube, because, content lasts forever in YouTube. Maybe not forever, but it lasts a long time. Or workshops, like you can make them something that you could send to people for years to come when you nail a really good workshop or masterclass, or podcast episode, even if you were guested. So figuring out how do I do this, and how do I leverage this to be able to nurture my audience better and to really be able to amplify my brand to that next level. So I hope this helps. This is these are 7 steps that I've consistently done over time, and it's really compounded in the gym space when I was in it, the online fitness space, and now the marketing space that I'm in now. And so I hope it helps you just as much as this helps me. And so go out there, become a micro celebrity, get a lot of attention, build your tribe, and let's change some lives and get paid handsomely for doing it. Bye for now.